water bottles would you need to send to landfill to generate the same amount of greenhouse gases as sending 1 kilo of food waste to landfill? Does anyone have any idea? Not Lily, who's on my team here somewhere and knows the answer. Shout it out. The answer is 25,000. And that's because even though plastic is obviously horrific for the natural environment, when it comes to global warming, it pales in comparison to food waste. So anyway, oh, that's the wrong direction. So hi, I'm Saasha, co-founder of Olio. This is a photo of me with my parents way back when. As you might be able to tell from my last name, my parents were and are hardcore hippies. And I grew up in a household with very untraditional everything. My parents were entrepreneurs. I grew up in the natural food industry. And it took a long time for their business to be successful, which meant I grew up in a house without a lot of money. And as the oldest of 6 children, it was my responsibility to help make ends meet. And so much of my childhood was spent following my mom around town, collecting things that other people threw away. Often on a Friday night, I'd be found in the dumpster behind the plant nursery, pulling out broken flowers and broken plants, and we'd take them home and repot them, and all year round we had a plant sale on our front porch. And as a kid, I thought this was just the most embarrassing thing ever. But I obviously learned quite literally that one person's trash could be another person's treasure. And so when I met my co-founder, Tessa, at business school just about 20 years ago, I really recognized a kindred spirit. She grew up in a dairy farm in North Yorkshire, and her parents believed in child labor. And she learned at a very young age just how much hard work goes into growing the food that we all eat. And so she hates waste as much as I do, and we were always the ones, getting doggy bags and picking up all of the things that everyone else had thrown away in our friendship group. But we both sort of ran away from our respective upbringing and sought very sort of secure, risk-averse careers in the corporate world. And by the time we became mothers about 10 years ago, we had 30 years of experience in banking and consulting and lots of other boring things. But we did ask ourselves at that point, what type of world would our children inherit? And are we using our skills and experience to the best that we could? And we decided to challenge ourselves to find an environmental problem that we could solve leveraging technology. So we went on the hunt, and when we discovered that 1/3 of all the food we produce is never eaten, we were totally horrified because we would never waste food. But it's not just that the food goes to waste, it's all of the resources that go into making that food. So for example, 25% of the world's fresh water goes to grow food that's never even eaten. So that's a huge waste, but the opportunity cost is also mind-blowing. And meanwhile, we have 800 million people who go to bed hungry every single day, and this isn't a problem in the rest of the world. Here in the UK, 14 million people are living in food poverty. And I was telling Juliet yesterday that when I updated this slide, which I hadn't done in a while, I had to change that 14 from 9, which is what it was 2 years ago. That's how much the cost of living crisis has resulted in increased food insecurity in this country. 4 million of those people are children who are skipping meals on a daily basis. So, cut a long story short, back in 2015, all of this inspired us to start Olio, the world's first and only food sharing app. The concept is simple. Anyone who has food they're not going to eat can take a picture, add a brief description, and then click submit, and it will create a listing in the app and notify people nearby that food is available. These are screenshots back from 2015, and to be honest, the app hasn't changed much since, except you can now give away household items like books and toys and clothes. You can also sell higher value household items. You can lend and borrow and do lots more to basically live a waste-free life connected with your local community. So back in 2015, when we had this idea, we had the whole chicken and egg situation where we knew we needed to get people to give things away, and we also needed people to request them. So up in North London, we stood on the street corner for about 4 months, harassing passerbys, getting them to give us their email address, so that when we launched the app in July 2015, we had 2,200 people who'd signed up to download the app. Since then, we have grown to over 7 million users, and we've seen sharing take place between neighbors successfully in over 60 countries. And that means that today we see neighbors on the doorstep meeting to give away, instead of throw away, food and other household items over 1 million times every single month, which is great. And we still have a long way to go. But part of the reason that we've been able to have this impact is because we've developed a really innovative solution for businesses who have food that they can't discount and sell or donate to charity. Unfortunately, there's not nearly enough charities to take all of the food that's generated, the food surplus that's generated at the retail level. That food is fit for human consumption, and it should feed a human. So we've introduced a new step in the food waste recovery hierarchy, which is basically making sure that any food that's still edible can go to the general community through our app. And today we have 5 million portions of food donated by businesses every single month that's redistributed through Olio for free. And that's also how we've earned revenue as well. All of this growth has been possible through our volunteers and their passion and commitment. We have over 100,000 people who've basically decided to build their own food sharing community in their own neighborhood. We have food waste heroes who go out and rescue the food from businesses and then give it away for free to their neighbors from their home. And then we also have ambassadors who are basically spreading the word in their local neighborhood, encouraging people to download the app and to give it a go. Our impact to date, I'm very proud of it, but I'm also very much in recognition that we have a long way to go. But so far, we've rescued 135 million portions of food. That's 20 billion liters of water saved, and the carbon emissions equivalent of over 500 car miles. That's 7 round trips to Mars and back, hence the photo. That is the environmental equivalent of keeping those cars off the road. But if we look towards the future, we really need to get out of this early adopter territory where we've been stuck for a while, if I'm honest, and we need to get into the mainstream. And that's because 60% of global carbon emissions are directly related to the choices that we make about what we buy and what we waste in our own homes, which means we're all responsible for 60% of global carbon emissions. And that can often feel quite overwhelming, but I really think that it took billions or trillions of small, thoughtless actions to get ourselves into this mess. And conversely, if we can just flip the switch, billions or trillions of small, thoughtful actions, we can start to crawl our way out of it. I really do think that lots of small actions collectively can lead to transformational change. And whenever I need a pep talk, I like this quote from Jane Goodall, which basically says that if you envision the whole world as a puzzle, actually, I can't read it from here. I need my glasses. I'll let you read it. Basically, you're not alone. Everything you do matters and counts. So work on your own piece of the puzzle. I know that everyone else is working on theirs. Together, we'll get there. And then finally, I just really want to encourage you to buy less, waste less, and share everything, because we have more than enough to go around, and it's absolutely ridiculous that we continue to have this linear extractive consumption model that's fucking the planet. All right. Thank you.